What's up, guys? It's me, Daniel, with VintageMagic.com, and today is Motivation Monday. Hope you guys are gonna have a great week. This video is all about collecting different type of collectibles. One of the hobbies I've always had is always collecting, various Transformers, baseball cards, Garbage Pail Kids, but I've always loved cars. I think cars is probably one of the, no offense to girls, but probably one of the top things men like. They love their cars. They love the speed, the sound, the design, everything. Everything about cars is awesome. I mean, and cars is something special to there's something unique, just like magic cards, to each person. It's personal to people. Some people actually have memories in their cars, and they might, have kept that car for like decades. My first car, actually, my mom had like a Volvo, a blue Volvo or something back in the day. I forgot the make and model, whatever, the model version. And the first car, ironically, I ever purchased was a Hummer H1. Yes, the military vehicle car. That was my first car. It was when I first started my business. It was a little crazy. Probably shouldn't have bought it. It was very overly priced and stupid, but hey, I thought it was a cool car. I think I got like 7 miles to the gallon. It was diesel, and back in the day it was like, I don't know, like $1.99 for diesel, so it was relatively reasonable. But eventually it turned to like $5 a gallon. I mean, it was insane in California. All right, let's take a look at some of these crazy cars. This section I picked on purpose. This is I don't even know what this car is, but I think it's an old Ferrari. Let's read it right here. It's a Ferrari 1972 Dino 246 GT. I want you to read the description here. There's an incredible amount of history in these kind of cars. And, that's kind of what I love about cars, is that cars have incredible amount of history and love and passion behind them. I mean, we're talking about, I don't know, more than obviously 50 years of history. But even since like the very beginning, I forgot when the first cars were ever made. I think this is actually one of the, I think there was the 599 this is a Ferrari, there was a 599 GT, I forgot the GTB Furiano or something. There was a model, but this is the newer version of it. I have to go look it up. This is cool. This is a 1969 Lamborghini Islero S. Some of these cars I've never seen in my life, by the way. Just absolutely crazy. Now this car I do know. It's a Diablo. I don't know which version it is. It's the original old school Diablo. What Lamborghini does is they go for the crazy. This is a V12, and it's in the back, or maybe mid-engine, and and Lamborghini goes for insane. Also, their doors tend to be scissor doors. I can't open the door, obviously, but it's kind of hallmarks. This is the back of a Diablo VT, and I don't know what year it is, but absolutely crazy. It's long, it's huge wheels. We're talking like 375 in the back. If you guys look at the specs, this is a crazy car. This is the Lamborghini Countach, and for those of you who have got my I did this video about my favorite toy, Transformer toy. It is not the red one, but the yellow version, Sunstreaker, was my favorite Lamborghini toy back in the day, and it was a Lamborghini Countach. This is an original 1983 LP5000S. I don't even know what that means in terms of the version. It seems like a more hyper version of it. Yeah, so I kind of wanted to do this video. Let's take a little walk over here. There's a lot of different cars here. We're gonna go through past the exotics, but Mazda. But I mean, tell me in the comments below, which kind of cars do you guys love? Do you guys like cars? I know Tavis King, one of my friends in Florida, he said he loves muscle cars, American muscle cars. That's one of his things. And it doesn't matter what kind of car you like. I mean, this is the Mazda section right here. It doesn't matter if you like economical, doesn't matter if you like SUVs, you like sedans. Everybody has some type of car. Now, some people treat cars like food. They almost treat it like, hey, it's just a means to an end. I eat just to get the nutrients, but I don't really care about the quality and the fancy dining stuff, and that's fine. That's your own thing. But food is just like cars. There's a level of grades of quality. There's a level of cost. There's a level of just specialtiness to cars and food, and it's all within that realm. And I want to share this with you on Motivation Monday because I feel like oftentimes we want to have nicer cars, nicer things, nicer stuff. And the reality is cars and food and shopping, all those things, luxury items, they don't really actually provide anything other than that experience you get. But you know, you may have a fancy car, but you may not be really wealthy. And I want to keep that in mind, because when you look at your life, just because you have a nice material things, it doesn't necessarily mean you're successful and wealthy, because you could be just dead on broke. There's plenty of people out there who are extremely wealthy who drive, you know, a Prius. Or some people are very wealthy and they drive this V10. This is one of my favorite cars, R8 Spiders. Spider because this right here I think is not detachable, but it goes back. This is one of my favorite cars design wise of all time. This is a car I'll probably end up buying one day. I love the carbon fiber. I love the design of just the car. When it first came out, I forgot the exact year. I think it was like 2007, 2008 or something. It first came out. It's one of my favorite cars of all time. It's been featured in movies like I think Christian Grey from what do you call it? That movie? What is that movie? That famous, anyway, Girls Like That novel, right? You guys can help me in the comments below. But Audi is one of my favorite brands. I think they use four-wheel drive Quattro on mostly all their cars. I think it's mandatory. By the way, I'm not perfect at every single car history. Let's take a look. Let's walk some more. But yeah, I mean, the reality is you can go off and buy a very expensive car, and you basically end up paying, you know, the monthly payment. I always buy cars with cash, because if you don't pay with cash, you end up losing equity on other investments, because the interest that you pay, you could have invested and made more money and more money on other things. That's part of the reason why it was how you be successful and rich and wealthy and have passive income, is that you need to have less interest payments and pay it all in cash. It's a very critical element when you invest in anything in life. That's one tip I've always told people in my videos. Don't invest in Magic the Gathering unless you pay cash for your things. Don't use a lot of credit. Just like this car. This is a BMW. I believe this is their hybrid version, like that electronic version, their I series. You guys should take a photo right here. That's pretty cool. This was a nice matte black finish. It's one of their, I think the wheels this was in Mission Impossible or some movie where the wheels lit up. One of the Mission Impossibles. Now let's go over here. There's some more interesting cars I want to show you guys. But yeah, you know, look, I'm not here to knock on you guys. If you guys have monthly payments on your cars and stuff, I understand that you know, it's hard to buy a car. But there's a thing about, there's two words here. It's either necessary or unnecessary. Like this $200,000 plus NSX. Actually, I think it's $150K or something with tax, but about $200,000. This is unnecessary, you know, in the sense that if you can barely afford it, like, well, it's $160,000 plus tax, but there's options. If you can barely afford a car, if you can barely afford a supercar or any kind of car, the question you have to ask yourself is net worth. People have always asked me, let's say I'm worth $1 million, okay? Does that mean I can afford a brand new, nice $100,000 car? All right, so let's say you have $1 million in the bank, all right? So let's say we have $1 million in the bank. Should I buy a $100,000 car? And it all depends more about your age. Depends on your age, also your other investments, what's going on. Let's say you have $1 million in the bank as cash, and let's say you have another $1 million of investments. Let's say you have you're making about $250,000 a year, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, you know, with that kind of income, you could probably use $100,000 to buy a car in cash and be just okay with that. Some people are not able to do that. Man, where are the other Ferraris and Lamborghinis at? Do you know where those are at? You don't know? Okay.
Anything that is, it might be upstairs.
Can I get you on video or no?
No.
Ask questions? Okay. All right. There's a lot of people here, like there's a lot of attendants here. You can't always get them on video. Yeah, so that's the point of the whole game, is that you can't always, you know, it's always a question of net worth. So the question is, if you have, like in our scenario, $1 million of cash, $1 million investments, and you get a $100,000 investment, you have $250,000 a year you're making, yeah, you know, if you look at the income percentages, that's pretty much, I think I looked up recently, if you make $150,000 a year, you pretty much are in the top 10% of the income of America. And at $250,000, I think you're close to the top 5% in America. Which basically means if you think about 300 million people in America, you're basically looking at a situation where you know, there's only like tens of millions of people who really have that kind of money. And even at that level, having a $100,000 car, just a car, not a house, not an investment, because cars, guys, are depreciable assets. There's things in Magic, for example, are very depreciable. They're not necessarily, you know, like really great assets to invest in. There's things that you buy for pure luxury and just appreciation. By the way, guys, I'm trying to get some cool cars. Maybe you go to like the American cars over here. But that's what I'm saying is, you know, Magic Gathering, you know, what are depreciable assets in Magic? Magic has lots of depreciable assets. You know, we're talking like stuff like some of the newer boxes. Some of the newer boxes are depreciating, like the Dragon's Maze. If you bought Dragon's Maze, that car, I mean, those boxes are not growing in price. And then they become like dead money that you could have invested in something else, something better for investing, right? So those could be depreciable assets. Also, assets that are depreciable in Magic are very clearly definitely going to be cards that are non-reserveless cards that keep being reprinted all the time, and that kind of type of thing becomes a very unfortunate investment. There's people that actually buy into like reprintable cards, and they go off and think that they can make, you know, some kind of money and speculate because, you know, some pro tour guy is going to be using it on a certain card and you know to win a certain deck on a top 8, and they speculate, but they end up losing a lot, and the swings are huge. So that's the whole point. Oh, you got my son Scott, you got my wave Scott, Spencer. What are you guys doing?
Scavenging hunt. We have full out.
And where's Nick? Grandpa?
Daddy's take care of.
Grandpa, okay, great. You guys having fun?
Yeah. Is it haunted?
So right now it's quiet here. So yeah, so that's my whole point, guys, is that if you are buying a car or you're buying things that are depreciable, you're going to lose out. You're going to lose out in the end in terms of equity if you don't understand the art of not paying the interest, not paying high amounts of interest and debt, and having more of cash in real assets. I'm gonna sit down here and take a little break here and finish this up. So the whole point, guys, is that there's an author called Robert Kiyosaki. He's well known for his a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. I invite you guys to read it. Rich Dad Poor Dad talks about the phenomena of assets and liabilities. I'm not going to go over all the facts and the way it goes, but essentially you have to look at everything you have as either an asset or a liability. And only when it's an asset when it actually produces money for you. I'll give you a great example. If your home is not producing you cash, I'm not saying it went up in value, I'm saying it's not producing you any money. That means it's actually a liability in some cases because you're not getting cash flow. You're not getting actual money, cash for that home. So in a way, even though you're, hey, I've made a 200 grand or 300 grand equity from comparable sales around you, it doesn't mean anything because until you actually sell it, it's actually a liability in some ways because you're still paying into it. Now let's keep in mind a couple things. Let's talk about Magic cards. Are reserveless cards considered assets or liabilities? Now, this is a debate that's been going on for a long time. I feel like reserveless cards, in a way, are both assets and liabilities. Let me explain. The reason why it's a liability in many cases is because some people have them and they're making no cash out of it. They're not taking any profits whatsoever. There's no cash flow at any point. All they're doing is stockpiling, and they do that because they're hoping for a big payday later on. Some people are actually buying reserveless cards to actually collect, and what they're doing is they're collecting the cards and they never sell them. You know these people, right? People that keep putting money into reserve list cards, keep buying Power 9, CIE sets, whatever, right? They just buy whatever they want, and they really don't want to sell anything that they have because they're collecting. Is that considered an asset though? I consider it more of a liability until you actually sell and take profits. Now, obviously, when you start selling your cards, and at a certain point, let's say you bought the Alpha Black Lotus back when it was $2,000 a pop, you're going to make the money back and you're going to get a huge return. But there's a lot of people that are buying like an Alpha Lotus now at $20,000, $15,000 for like a played one, let's say. And the question is, are those really assets, you know, until you actually sell them? And the truth of the matter is there's still liabilities in the sense that you've bought the product, but they're liabilities because you aren't making any money. I consider it more of an asset when you actually get cash return, something like a dividend or something like from stocks or you know, bonds or mutual funds or municipal bonds or real estate assets, whatever, something you're getting cash flow all the time. Those are more cash flow assets. Another interesting topic we'll have to go through one of these days is that, you know, what is considered an asset though in Magic cards is obviously when you take profits on artwork or high-end cards or any cards you've had, or even the speculatory newer cards, you take profits, you get cash, that is an asset. But the question is though, once you sell that asset, how are you going to regenerate and make that money? Because it's not like real estate. You can't just get renters all the time for the rest of your life. Not everybody needs Magic cards. It's not like homes. Obviously a topic we're going to have to go and dive into one of these in another topic. Okay, anyway, I appreciate you guys' time. I hope you guys have a great Monday. Signing off at the International Seattle Car Show. We'll have more videos here just talking about other Magic the Gathering topics. Might as well. There's some great B-roll here in general. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you guys think about some of the things I said in this video. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.